So good morning, everybody. My thought for you this week that I have been playing with is on the idea that everything, literally everything that comes into your life experience is for your enlightenment. And I like this concept for a lot of reasons, but the one that I've been really honing in on is that I like it because it takes away the necessity of trying to rank our experiences and to decide which ones are relevant to our spiritual practice or to our development and which ones aren't, right? Because we do that a lot, as we say, well, this relationship clearly, there's meaning in it because this is my spiritual growth and this is something that's happening here. And then others we say, oh no, that's just the world being stupid, or this is, it's something else going on and I'm going to push that over there because it's got nothing to do with me. It all has to do with you, right? So the beauty of this concept is that everything is, I think I said this maybe to the TTs in one of our last things, but that everything is for you, but not everything is about you, right? But to have this ability to take everything that comes to you with the attitude of this is for my enlightenment. It's not a useless experience. It's not a experience to be ignored or to just get through with no meaning behind it, but it's literally a piece, a building block of what you call your experience of opening. And if we can accept everything that way, we treat it with a little bit more reverence. And if we treat it with a little bit more reverence, right, we treat ourselves with a little bit more reverence as we go through it, is then everything becomes truly a spiritual opening, right? So this is what we're practicing, and I've been using Ganesh as my sort of model for this, is the idea of being able to take what feels like an obstacle, right? Something that feels like it's just frustrating you or that it just gets in your way. And instead of obstacles being something that get in your way, is obstacles are literally the challenges or the things that uplift you, right? So everything is for your enlightenment, and every obstacle, the intention of it is to uplift you, right? So the mantra for Ganesh, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, is a nice one to have in your head. And even if you don't use the whole mantra, just the gum, the seed sound for Ganesh, gum, is a nice one to repeat or to hear in your mind as you're going through something challenging. And mantra right now, I think, is incredibly powerful because mantra is medicine for your mind, right? Protection for the mind. And the mind is inundated at the moment with a whole lot of conflicting information, a whole lot of conflicting experience, right? And so the more you can steady your mind on something that is not your thought process, right? Mantra is outside your thought process. The more you can steady yourself with that, the easier it becomes to, again, move through the world with that level of acceptance that everything that is there is for your enlightenment. And what you do with your mind determines how much and in what way you experience that, right? So every moment you are in an enlightenment experience to varying degrees. Try that one. Comfortable seat. Let your eyes close. Just for a moment or two, start to connect to your breath. And connect to it in a way that the actual act of inhaling and exhaling, being really present for the inhale and the exhale, is that is all that's needed for enlightenment. That's it. And that the act of breathing consciously, I inhale and I exhale and I'm actually paying attention, is a commitment to that desire to be in a state of enlightenment. And it doesn't have to be so far away from where you are now. To me, that's the beauty of this concept, is that if everything is for your enlightenment, then literally every moment you are enlightened. It's not far away. And let your mind be part of the breath. So as you breathe, your mind moves with that. So there's a fluidity to the space of your mind. It's not working in just its rigid patterns. Good, and then one more breath, sit nice and tall. And then exhale, drop everything. Drop your shoulders, drop your jaw. Yeah. Whatever you were doing a minute ago, now you're practicing. And then bring your hands to your heart center, please. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Then come forward to hands and knees and start to circle your hips. So I suspect we need to begin. I don't often see you guys so fidgety in the beginning of class, but many of you are very fidgety this morning. Good. So move your pelvis, move your shoulders, move your mind. Again, this is the thing. If you let the mind become part of the breath, you let the movement of the breath or of the body be something that your mind falls into, then it has the chance to just shift from its regular habitual patterns. Move your hips the other way, please. And so mantra can be so useful for this if you're using a mantra, because it anchors the mind in one direction and it allows everything else that was going on to rearrange itself. Good. And habitually, we want to do this. Regularly, we want to do this to keep the mind free. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Take your knees wide, press your hips back, child's pose, just for a moment. Press down into your shins. Good. And if it's not a full child's pose, that's okay, but press into your shins, scoop your belly, and feel the drawing back of your lower spine. Nice. And then walk yourself back up, hands and knees. Good. And then press back to downward facing dog. I will post the mantra in the chat if you are interested. Good, you guys. And then come up on your tippy toes, please. Lift your hips nice and high and then bend your knees. So you're up on your tippy toes, but then bend your knees and pull your hips back. Really drop them down towards your heels. Scoop your belly. Good. And then widen your inner knees just a little bit. So you're pushing your thighs wide, but then you are anchoring into your big toe mound. So it's like you're squeezing your shins, but you're pressing your thighs wide. Scoop your belly. Widen your sit bones and then drop your hips even lower. Yes. And now pull your butt back a little bit more. So you really have to scoop into that low part of your pelvis and drop your hips. So this is changing the angle of the thighs with the pelvis. So drop your butt towards your heels and push back and keep those legs awake. Good. And then take your hips nice and high to the sky. Yeah, as you reach up to a straight leg, don't lock your knees. So keep that feeling of pushing your inner thighs wide. Good. And pulling the thigh bones up into your pelvis, and now let your heels soften towards the floor, but don't let your knees push back. Good. It's your butt that moves back. It's your spine that elongates to let your heels move towards the floor. That's it. Good. Right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Nice. Drop the back knee. Use a blanket there if you'd like. And then bring your right hand to the outside of your right knee. Left hand can stay on the floor if you'd like, or on a block. So to the outside of your knee, all the way to the outside, and push your knee wide into that hand. As you're pushing your knee wide, move your right butt cheek wide. So it's like you're really just pushing that whole right side out away from the center of your pelvis. So push wide. Good. And then find your big toe mound of the right foot, but keep pushing your inner thigh wide. You got it. So it doesn't have to actually move your knee, but it should feel like the whole outside of your leg is really actively working. Good. Now left hand stays to the floor. Take the right arm to the sky, twist, but hold that connection to your leg. So don't let the knee fall open, but keep that feeling of pushing wide and big toe mound anchors. Good. Nice. Stay in the twist. Lift your back knee up. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Beautiful. Stretch the right arm over your ear, extend. So reaching from the armpit all the way down to the hip. So pull your right hip back and down. So pull it away from the knee and then scoop your butt cheek under. Send your right thigh forward a little bit more. That's it. And back thigh lifts up. Good. Release that hand down to the floor. Nice job. Step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. Parsvottanasana. You gave me something really specific to work with. It's not my fault. Good. Bend your front knee a little bit here again. As you bend that front knee, again, widen it. So push the inner knee, or the outer thigh, I should say, inner thigh, outer thigh wide. So the front knee is bent a little bit, and get into that feeling of the inner thighs pulling away from each other, right and left. So that's going to activate your outer hips. So I want you to feel like you actually have muscular energy going through your outer hips. And then scoop your belly a little bit round into your lower back. Good. And then pull your hips up and back, like you're pressing back into downward facing dog to start to straighten that front thigh. Good. Don't let your knees push back. So you're pushing through your feet and you're pulling your hips up and back. Your knee will come more towards straight, but don't lock it. Good. Nice, you guys. And then come up on that front heel. Yep. With the same attitude, though, of not locking the knee back. So just because you came up on the heel doesn't mean you should push back through your knee. Keep pulling up through your thigh. Keep pressing your butt back. Good. Yeah, I'm not even saying anything about your upper spine. I'm saying stay curled in your back so that you can really just work in your pelvis. Good. And then release that foot back to the floor, please. Nice job. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Nice. Drop your knees to the floor, please. So your knees stay on the floor. Your pelvis is slightly forward. So you're in that modified push-up position. So move your chest forward a little bit more. Good. And then pressing into the knees, you want to feel your inner thighs lifting up. So if your belly is dropping here, pull your hip points up and pull your ribs in. So you're still maintaining that plank position. And then you're far forward. So tips of your shoulders towards the tips of your fingers, start to lower down towards the floor. As you lower towards the floor, lift up through your inner thighs. So pull the front of your pelvis in and up, ribs in and up. Yep. And then all the way down to your belly. Nice job. Good. Point the toes back behind you. Rise up to cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Look back towards your belly button. So round your back. As you get into the backs of your shoulders, again, you want to feel almost like you're pressing down into your knees so that there's a little lifting up of the back of your thighs. Good. And then scoop your low belly, lift your hip points up towards your ribs, and then start to lift your chest again, pull your throat back into cobra, but with your low belly and the tops of your thighs really pulling up and forward. Good. Drag your hands back. Nice. And then release, downward facing dog. I know, you should feel like these are poses you do all the time and I'm making you really work in them. I am making you work in them. Good. Up on your tippy toes, please. Bend your knees. And as you bend your knees here, you got to scoop your belly, drop your butt towards your heels. So this is important because if we don't get that change in the angle of your pelvis, then not a whole lot happens, right? So you have to kind of scoop your butt under to be able to drop your hips. Good. And then you're widening your inner thighs and you're pressing into the big toe mounts of each foot. So it's like your ankles squeeze together, but your thighs go wide. Good. Drop the hips and pull your butt back. Yeah. Good. And then butt goes back to the sky. Pull up, pull up, pull up on tippy toes. Keep pushing the inner thighs wide. And then soften the heels towards the floor. Good. Left leg up and back, down dog split. Don't let all of your weight fall into that right leg. You're still trying to maintain, right, that center line. Your inner thighs are still pushing wide, even though one of them's up in the air. Nice, Laura. And then step that left foot between the hands, lunge. Good. Drop the back knee for a moment. Use a blanket there if you'd like. Left hand to the outside of your front knee. Push that knee wide and then push your butt wide at the same time. Good. So everything in that front leg is pulling wide. So you're making space in the inner edge of your hip. Good. And then keep that pushing wide. Big toe mound anchors to the floor. Good. If you feel like you can maintain that, take the left arm up to the sky, spinal twist. Still pushing wide. Inner thigh, right, left butt cheek pushes wide. And big toe mound presses down. Good. Stay in the twist, tuck your back toes, lift the back knee up. As you lift that back knee up, squeeze the feet towards each other, draw the low belly in, scoop that left butt cheek under just a little bit more. Send your thigh a little deeper, send your knee forward a little bit more, still pushing wide. So you go deeper into the lunge. Good. And then pull that back thigh away. Nice. And then release that hand down to the floor. Good job. Step your right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. I know I didn't have you take your arm over your ear. Sorry. Sorry. Parsvottanasana. I gave fair warning I was tired this morning. Bend your front knee. As you bend your front knee, again, maybe you feel a little bit of a release behind the knee. Maybe you feel a little bit of release up in the pelvis. And then with the knee bent, right, you're drawing that back hip. Your right hip is spinning slightly forward. Push your inner thighs wide. Good. Scoop into your low belly, because again, the power here to start to elongate your spine or to elongate the leg through the spine is going to come from there. So you got to hollow that low space of your abdomen and then pull the thighs back, pull your hips back and up to start to straighten that leg again. Good. Still push both inner thighs wide. And again, it's a subtle action there, but the more that you do it, is you're actually stabilizing and you're coordinating inner and outer leg, which is what you want for your knees to be in a happy place. Is inner and outer legs to be working together instead of one side working a lot and the other side not working at all. Good. Come up on the front heel, please. Same attitude. Don't press back through the knee. Keep lifting up through the low belly. Keep sending your inner thighs back and wide. So your sit bones go back and wide. Good. Nice. And whatever that feeling is of restriction, right, your relationship to something that frustrates you or stops you or makes you feel less than, I think that's really what obstacles do, is they make us feel a little bit less because we can't just easily bypass it. So that moment when you're ready to say, I don't like this because it makes me feel this way. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. This moment, this obstacle is my friend, not my enemy. Good. Release that foot back to the floor, please. Step forward, top of your mat. Good. Feet underneath your hips, maybe even slightly wider than your hips. Bend your knees, drop your butt, and then you're going to reach your hands around the underside of your thighs. So grab your inner thighs, wrap your arms around. Yep, grab your inner thighs and pull wide. So don't hug all the way behind the legs. So you can look at what Sara's doing, is you're just reaching each hand to the inside of each thigh. Yeah, don't reach around the outside, Sue. There you go. Yep, reach for your inner thigh. So grab the inner seam of your pants and pull wide. Yep, and as you're pulling wide, push your butt back. Yep. And press into your big toe mound. So it's like your shins are staying very connected, but your inner thighs are pulling wide, and push your butt back. Good. Now keep doing that. Drop your head. Don't think about it. Push your butt to the sky. Keep pulling your inner thighs wide. Come into forward fold. Keep pulling your inner thighs wide. Keep scooping your belly. Keep pulling your inner thighs wide. Send your weight forward towards the toes of your feet. That's it. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good. Come up on your tippy toes, please, lifting up onto the balls of the feet, keeping that same feeling of widening the inner thighs and hugging into your shins. So big toe mounds rolling down towards the floor a little bit more. Good. And then soften the heels towards the floor, bend your knees, drop into chair, same attitude, inner thighs wide. Sweep your arms up alongside your ears. Lift up through the front of your pelvic bones. Nice. Come all the way up to stand, please. Rise up onto the tippy toes again. Good. Pull up through the tops of your thighs. Pull up through the front of your pelvis. Widen inner thighs, big toe mounds, anchor. Really fun to do this with a block between your legs. Drop the heels back to the floor. Bend your knees back into chair. Good. Notice at what points you take your legs to straight, meaning having a locked knee. Release the hands to the floor. Good. Come up onto the, start to straighten the legs, sorry. Push your butt towards the sky. Don't lock those knees. Come forward up onto your tippy toes. Good. Widen the inner knees. Big toe mounts press. Nice. And then drop the heels back to the floor, please. Bend your knees again. Come into chair. Arms up. Good. Come up to stand, straightening the legs by pulling the thighs up, not pressing your knees back. So keep lifting through your pelvis. Keep lifting, keep lifting, keep lifting. Good. And then come up on the balls of your feet. Rise up. Again, from the tops of your thighs, from the top of your pelvis, you rise up. Good. And then drop the heels back to the floor, please. Bend the knees, drop back to chair. Hands to heart center. Prayer twist. Right elbow to the outside of your left knee, just in case you were getting bored. Good. Keep widening your inner thighs. And then draw those shoulder blades, lower armpits towards each other. Draw your navel towards your spine. Rotate your ribs. Good. Come back to center, please. Breath in. Don't change your chair. Twist the other way. Left elbow to right knee. Good. This is to really help train those inner thighs and your butt to be doing the work that it should be doing in chair. Don't let that right knee fall forward. Lauren, draw it back. That's it. Good. Come back to center, please. Arms up, full chair. Do not give up. Yeah. And then release the hands to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. I just realized I have two Laurens. Look at that. Good. Nice, you guys. You can remove the block if you were doing that exercise with the block between your legs. Good job. Right hand to left ankle, please. Left arm to the sky, spinal twist. Guess what I'm going to say. Push your inner thighs wide and find your big toe mounds and scoop into your belly and draw your butt up towards the sky, but send your weight towards the toes of your feet. Lean forward. If you haven't fallen on your head, you haven't leaned forward enough. Good. And then release and switch. Left hand to right ankle, right arm to the sky. Same thing, you're letting your weight draw forward, so your pelvis is actually moving forward over the ankles. What's going to stabilize you again is those inner thighs and outer hips. So Lauren L, watch that left knee that it doesn't bend so far forward. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Bend your knees, kick your heels in towards your butt. Press your thighs down towards the floor. So this is that feeling, right? That by pressing your thighs down, your butt pops up a little bit. Your inner thighs pop up a little bit. Now scoop through that low abdomen so your pelvic points start to draw forward. So the front of the pelvis, front of the thighs is going to move towards the floor, but it's not going to collapse into the floor. Lift up head, neck, and chest using the arms like you would for cobra, but have it feel like it's coming from the front of your thighs. It's beginning that back bend. So the tops of your thighs are pulling forward. And that's going to help lift the low belly, which is going to help draw your rib cage in, which is going to help lift your heart, draw your throat back. Good, but press those thighs down and feel, or press your knees down and feel your inner thighs pulling straight up to the ceiling. Good, and then release back to your belly, please. Take the legs back to straight. Good, tuck your toes. And then hands are alongside the middle ribs. Press into your knees a little bit. So again, push those inner thighs up. Start to lift your butt up off the floor. And then navel in, ribs in. As you press into your hands, feel your armpits squeeze. Reverse chaturanga. Push yourself back up to plank. Good. Nice. Good, Harriet. Really good. Good. Nice. That was a cute little reverse worm dance move that some of you did, but nice. Hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Good. Right leg comes up and back, down dog split. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the right hip on top of the left, and feel that it's the inner knee, the inner thigh that is really lifting you up here. So the outer hip is stretching. It's got to do some work, but the inner thigh, the inner knee is what you want to rotate up. Good. So it might even mean that your heel feels like it's moving towards the floor because your inner thigh is rotating. Awesome. And then bring that knee pointing down towards the floor. Take the knee forward towards your nose, armpits over your wrist, squeeze in, and then shoot that right leg out to the left underneath your armpit. Yep, so you're on the baby toe. Take your left foot flat to the floor, left arm comes to the sky. Good, let your heart sing. That's a joke because we call this wild thing. Yeah, you're allowed to laugh. Good. Come all the way back, please. Take that leg back up to the sky, down dog split. Yeah, and then step the foot forward between the hands. It's all right if I'm the only one who thinks I'm funny. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels the back of your mat, warrior two. Cartwheel the arms up. Good. Again, for a moment, can you bring your right hand to the outside of your right knee? So front hand to the outside of your right knee. Yep, and push wide. And as you push wide, you can actually feel that right butt cheek have to come in towards the center of your midline of your mat, right? So the knee pushes wide, butt cheek pulls back. Good. And then send your left inner thigh, your back inner thigh up and back behind you. So you're rotating that thigh slightly in. Good. Now maintain that, arms back to letter T. Good. Drop the left hand down the back thigh, right arm reaches up and back, reverse warrior. I want you to contract that right butt cheek. Good. And then send that right thigh forward a little bit more because your butt's going to hold you, not your thigh. Yes. And drag back on that front heel and then come all the way back up to center, please. Good. Straighten the front leg. Come up on the heel. So you're moving towards triangle, but with your front heel on the floor and your front toes lifted. So do not lock your knee here, right? You got to pull that shin forward and you got to scoop and lift that thigh bone up, up, up. So get as tall as you can and then extend forward. Let that right hand touch down to the floor, front leg block, whatever you need. Trikonasana. Good. Do not lock your knee. Yeah. So you have to very consciously keep a little bend there so that you can work from the thigh. Pull your thigh up, push your left hip up to the sky. It's your back hip, push it up to the sky. And there'll be room for you to pull your right thigh longer. Good. And then release that right foot flat to the floor, please. Take your left hand to your left hip. Look down at the floor, walk your right hand forward, bend your right knee. Step into Ardha Chandrasana. Left hip stacks on top of right. Good. Bend your standing knee. As your standing knee bends, try and push that inner thigh, inner knee wide and scoop your right butt cheek towards the midline of your mat. It's going to take your left foot forward. Good. And then from there, scoop into that low belly, push that left hip up to the sky, start to straighten your standing leg without letting it fall inward. Don't go into that feeling that if you just pull back through your left heel, then your pose is going to be more open. It isn't. The opening happens from the standing leg first. And then left arm to the sky. Squeeze everything in, squeeze your feet towards each other, squeeze your arms into your shoulder sockets. See if you can take less weight onto that right hand. Maybe float the right hand off the floor completely. Nice, Teresa. Good, Tom. Beautiful. And then release that hand back to the floor. Step yourself back, warrior two. Step back to warrior two. Yes, ma'am and sir. Good. Take the hands back behind you, interlace the fingers, spin your chest forward towards the front of your mat, bow inside your front knee, take the arms up and over any amount, but keep that back heel anchored. So again, the exercise here is to push that inner knee, the inner thigh of the front leg wide and draw your right butt cheek back and in towards the midline of your mat. Good. So you really have to work through your glutes here. Nice. Release the hands down to the floor. Spin your back heel up. Nice. Back to downward facing dog. Good, you guys. If nothing else, you've probably forgotten about your knees, so that's something. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Not anymore because I reminded you. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Rise up cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Remembering that you are moving from your pelvis, front of your pelvis draws forward and up, and extend those legs back. They're not just resting on the floor, they're reaching back behind you. Inner thighs pull straight up towards the ceiling. Yes. and then downward facing dog. Again, inner thighs pull straight up towards the ceiling. Nice, Alice. Beautiful transition. Good. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Bend the knee, take your heel in towards your butt, stack left hip on top of right, keeping your shoulders, your armpits level to the floor. Good. And that right thigh, don't block that right knee that's holding you. Good. And your inner knee, your inner thigh of the left leg is what's rotating up. So your heel might even feel like it's coming parallel to the floor, like it's dropping in space, which is okay. Good. Point the left knee towards the floor again. Bring the knee forward towards your nose, armpits over your wrist, squeeze in, and then shoot that leg out to the right. Split the legs as much as you can. So bring that foot farther forward. You're going to have a more stable base. Drop your right heel to the floor, right arm to the sky. So your right foot should be flat. Good. And yeah, Lisa, that's great. Having the knee slightly bent is perfect. Good. Draw your ribs in just a little bit and then lift the chest open even more. That's going to get more into your shoulders. Awesome, you guys. And then release, come all the way back to down dog splits. You got to pull that thigh back in and extend it back out. I know. And then step that foot forward between the hands. Good. Warrior two, drop the back heel. Virabhadrasana. Dose. Since off the top of my head, the Sanskrit for two is escaping me. I think it's Dwi, D-W-I. Left hand to the outside of your left knee, because I know you were all wondering. Press that knee wide into your hand so that you feel as that knee pushes wide, your butt cheek can actually rotate in towards that midline of your mat. So you're actually, again, shifting the pelvis. Good. And then maintain that, please. Take your arms back out wide. Back thigh is spinning slightly in. So your inner thigh is like wrapping from the inside, pulling up and back. Good. And then right hand drops down the back thigh. Left palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. Good. Keep your front knee, your front thigh pushing wide. Yes. Nice, you guys. Contract that left butt cheek and send your left thigh deeper into the lunge. Yes, very good. And then bring it all the way back up to center. Good. Straighten the front thigh, come up on your heel. Watch that you do not lock your knees here, that there's a feeling of pulling up through your thighs. Good. And then reach for triangle, extend. Nice. Let that hand touch down, front leg floor block. Do not lock your knees. So you have to keep pulling forward with your shin. And it's especially difficult here because you're balancing on your heel. So this is tricking you into using your actual stabilizing muscles instead of just locking through your joints. I'm not just doing this to be cruel. Good. Nice, you guys. Rotate that right rib cage up to the sky. Push that right hip up to the sky. Yeah. And then release that left foot back to flat. Nice. Right hand comes to your right hip. Look forward. Bend your left knee. Walk the left hand beyond the toes of the front foot. Step up. Ardha Chandrasana. Good. Again, no locking your knees. Bend your standing knee. As your knee bends, move your inner knee, your inner thigh wide. Push it wide, which is going to cause that left butt cheek to rotate in towards the midline of your mat. It's going to send your lifted leg slightly forward. You're going to say, but now I'm not as deep in the pose. Now you're more realistic in the pose. So work with that standing leg. Scoop your navel. Good. Start to straighten that leg by pushing your hips up to the sky, not by straightening the knee, but pull up. Good. Keep pulling up. Contract that left butt cheek. It's got to do a lot of work to hold you. And right arm can come back to the sky if you'd like, or just hang on for dear life for another couple breaths, if that's where you're at. Good. And then maybe squeeze in and up. Take your weight off of that left hand. Hover. Really good. Awesome. Good, good, good. And then good, Sue. And then step all the way back, warrior two. Nice, you guys. Take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, spin your chest forward towards the top of your mat, bow inside your front knee. Warrior two. Still widening inner thighs. Good. And again, these tricky variations, front knee pulls wide, left butt cheek pulls in. So Victoria, a little more, widen your knee. And pull that left butt cheek in. Yeah. I want you to have to keep actively working on it. So it's not just an exercise, but if it's for your survival, right, you'll do it. Release the hands down to the floor. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right until you come to the center of your mat. Straighten your legs, turn your toes. You're welcome. This should feel pretty good. That's really how I feel about, the things that show up in our life that seem like they are the most difficult, is that we don't turn to these inner tools. We don't turn to our inner resources until it's for our survival. If it's just an exercise or something, then, well, we could do that. We might play with it, but we won't really integrate it. When we need it to get through the day, then it becomes something real for us. This is some of that power of Ganesh, as they say, he's the one who removes obstacles, but he's also the one that places them. To put in front of you the things that are going to stop you so much that you are forced to go looking for inner resources, to go looking for something to protect your mind or to anchor your mind. Widen those inner knees even here. Widen your inner thighs even here. Good. Walk your hands forward, please. Come into a wide-legged downward facing dog, if you have the space for it. Good. And as you are drawing your thighs back, again, feel that you are drawing your shins slightly forward, so you cannot lock your knees. Everything is for your enlightenment, and the more immovable something seems to be, the more it has the power to move something in you. Walk yourself back in, please. Good. Turn your right toes out to 45 degrees. Bend your knee, come into a side lunge, so you're widening the knee again, pointing the knee towards second or third toe, but your pelvis is staying pretty level to the floor. Good, so you're widening inner thighs, so your left foot should still be facing straight ahead. It hasn't changed. Good. One more breath. Again, you're scooping that right butt cheek. You're squeezing that right butt cheek. Nice, and then come back to center, straighten the leg, turn your toes forward, turn your left toes out. Go the other way, start to bend that knee. So Lauren L., keep your chest center on your mat. Yeah, don't walk towards that knee, you guys. Just stay center on your mat, bend the knee, and let your pelvis shift to the side, but keep your shoulders right where they are. Good. Nice. And you got to have that right inner thigh pulling wide at the same time, so don't let that leg collapse. Scoop your left butt cheek. Yeah, nice, Diane. I know you think you're not doing anything when you do that, but I see you scoop your butt cheeks and then come back to center, please. Straighten the legs. Turn the toes forward. Nice job. Walk all the way back towards the top of your mat. Turn your left toes forward. Looks like it. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, please. Lower down slow, coming through knees if you need. One more time, bend your knees, kick your heels in towards your butt. Press those thighs down. Good. Feel the lift through the front of your pelvic bones. Lift head, neck, and chest. Keep pressing down through the knees, but feel the dragging forward of your pelvis, and it should feel like your inner thighs are trying to lift up towards the sky. Good. Nice, Lisa. And then release back to your belly, please, and flip over onto your backs. Onto your backs. Good. Right ankle comes on top of left thigh. Lift your left shin parallel to the floor. Reach through to hold that thigh, flexing the foot. Good. Check out that your left heel is in line with your knee. And of course, you're like, I wouldn't know if it wasn't. So the tendency is sometimes for that heel to fall inward. So you want to push that left heel a little bit wide. Sounds familiar, right? Move everything wide. Good. But this is it, right? The tendency is when our outer hip or outer thigh starts to get tight is everything starts to rotate inward towards the midline of the body. And when that happens, we are less stable and the knee is getting pulled more on one direction than the other. The inner thigh, the inner leg gets weak. So there's no alternative energy that is supporting the inside of the knee while the outside gets tighter and pulls. So we got to do both, strengthen the inner thigh, but also correct the angle of how the outer thigh, outer hip is working. So start to draw that left thigh in a little deeper, keep both feet flexed. Maybe lift head, neck, and chest. Good, really hug those thighs in. Maybe reach through the legs, reach for your ankle, your shin, your foot. So I want you to really drag those legs in towards your chest. Scoop your belly. Good. And then slowly release. Nice job. Step your left foot down to the floor. Pull your right knee in towards your chest. Hold behind the thigh, and then extend that right heel up towards the ceiling. Keep your left foot on the floor, knee bent. Good. So you know that that knee's not going anywhere, that hip's not going anywhere. Nice. Press your thigh back against your hand. Good. Tip your pelvis forward so the top of your pelvis moves away from your belly. So your lower back anchors to the floor a little more. Good. Press up through the underside of your heel to get longer. Don't push back through the knee. Beautiful. And then hold that, extend the left leg straight down to the floor. See what the kind of difference that makes. Maybe none at all, maybe a lot. Keep pressing the right thigh back against your hands. Nice. And then start to take that leg across the body, come into a straight leg twist if you can. So you can bring that left hand to keep it on the underside of the thigh or reach for the ankle or the big toe. Right shoulder extends wide. And again, if the foot's nowhere near the floor, no problem. Find the angle that works where you can keep that leg relatively straight in the twist. Good. And even here, can you kind of push your inner thigh of that right leg up? You're like, don't ruin this for me more. I will. Good. Believe it or not, that actually probably for many of you probably felt better to lift a little bit. Come all the way back up. Good. Bend that right knee out towards your armpit, half happy baby. Reach the right hand for your ankle, your shin, maybe behind the thigh. But your knee should be the widest part of your pose. So reach to the inside of the leg. There you go. Yep. Good. So Lauren L, again, bring your shin in more and widen your knee. More. Shin. Yep. There you go. Even more. Good, Andy. Teresa, knee a little bit wider, heel in a little bit more. Good. Nice, you guys. And then start to straighten your leg from there, however you're holding it. Let it straighten over the shoulder, a little cross split. Yeah. And again, widen your inner thigh. So if everything's starting to fold in, push wide. Good. You got it, Sue. And then release, bending the knee straight in towards the chest, hug it in. Maybe give it a little rotation, a little circle here or there. Good. And then place that right foot down to the floor, knee bent. Stack your left heel on your right knee. Lift your right shin parallel to the floor. Reach through to hold, flexing the feet. And again, the tendency here is for that right heel to start to fall inward or angle in towards the middle of your body. Push it slightly wide. So your knee doesn't have to go anywhere, but your shin moves. And when your shin moves, it's going to change, again, the orientation of the whole leg. Good. Flexing both feet. And start to drag that right thigh in a little bit more. Again, you're getting into the fold of your pelvis here, of your hip creases. So as you pull that thigh in, the goal is not to have your butt curl up. It's to keep your lower back anchored to the floor. Scoop into your low belly so that when you pull that thigh in, you're actually really folding from your thighs. And then maybe lift head, neck, and chest. Send your arms forward more, maybe reach lower on that right leg, ankle, shin, foot, and squeeze in, but still hollow your low belly and push back and down through your pelvis. So you really are getting that fold through your thigh creases. Nice, and then slowly release. Good, take your right foot back to the floor. Hold behind your left, or draw your left knee in towards your chest, please. Hold behind your left thigh and extend your left heel up towards the ceiling. Good, press your thigh back into your hands. Tilt your pelvis forward, so top of your pelvis moves away from your belly. Find more of your lower back on the floor. Soften even your right thigh crease. So that's the knee that's just sitting there, you think doing nothing. Soften it down to the floor. Good, thigh bones are moving into the pelvis here with gravity. Good. And then reach out from the underside of your ankle, extend up. Yeah. Nice, you guys. You got it, Susan. Good, so the big muscles of the legs are the ones that tend to pull on the knee a lot. That can be your quad, it can be your hamstring. A lot of times it's the outer hip, outer thigh, IT band stuff. So we want there to be a balance between those muscles. Extend that right leg down to the floor. Because when there's balance, the knee stays in a really neutral place because it's being supported. When there's not balance, then your knee is just being yanked around by whatever muscle happens to be the tightest. So the obstacle, the injury even, is your enlightenment, your opportunity for enlightenment. Start to take that leg across your body for the twist. Again, holding wherever you'd like to support the leg, inner thigh, ankle, shin. And then as you come into the twist at whatever degree, whatever angle, left arm is reaching wide, left rib cage is reaching wide. Remember to feel like you are pushing that left inner thigh up slightly because that's going to help support your knee. And if you have blocks and things at home, it's also nice to hang out in this position with a block underneath the foot. So again, there's a support with the leg in line with the hip so that there's not a lot of gravity pulling the inner knee down. That's the challenge, right? With nothing underneath the knee, it can feel like it's falling into that negative space. So we extend, we push out through the inner thigh, and that helps protect it. Good. One more breath, you guys. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Wherever I find myself contracting around an obstacle, remember that this is for your enlightenment. Come back up to center. Good, bend that left knee in, take it wide towards your armpit, half happy baby. Left hand reaches for the foot or the ankle or the thigh. Good, and again, your knee should be the widest part of the pose and your heel should be angled slightly in. So you're still pushing your inner thigh wide, you're still pushing your left butt cheek wide. And to make that angle on your knee the happiest, you draw your shin in towards the midline. Good, feet are flexed. So Lauren L., don't draw down as much and instead use that hand to the inside of your knee and push against it. Good, you guys. And then slowly come back to center, squeeze that knee straight in, give it some rotation, let it circle. Nice. And then take both legs straight up towards the sky, please. Like, that's not what was supposed to happen next. Good, let your legs drop wide, straddle. Yeah. Draw into that low belly. And then again, here, you're dropping the legs out into negative space. So you've got to engage, pull your thighs up and in. Good. And now slowly squeeze the thighs back together. Bring your feet all the way back up to center. Good. And then let them drop wide again. With control, let them go wide. So you're pushing them wide. Yeah. And then squeeze them back together. Slow. from your inner thighs. Good. One more time, take them out wide. Yep. Good. And then one more time, squeeze them together. Nice and slow, controlled. Use your inner thighs. Awesome. And then bend the knees back in towards your chest. Good. Plant your feet. Arms alongside you. One bridge pose, please. So arms either straight or elbows bent into robot arms. Good. From your armpits, lift, and then let the hips rise up as well. Good. Pressing down through your heels. Guess what? Widen your inner thighs. Widen through your hips and send those again, the inner seams of your pants, pull them down to the floor and push wide. So the legs are rotating in and then pushing wide. Good. Drag your heels back, butt moves towards your heels. So Lauren L, butt towards your heels. Beautiful. Nice, Laura. And then release the hips down to the floor. Awesome. Place the block to the side if you're using it. Right leg extends forward, left knee in towards your chest, spinal twist. Last one. And sending your hip long away from your armpit. Good. Come back to center, please. Switch the legs, right knee in, left leg down to the floor. Spinal twist. Everything is for your enlightenment. This moment is your process of enlightenment. Come back to center. Good. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Flex the feet. Dig your heels down. Take your arms up alongside your ears. So a supine Tadasana before you end. Full body engaged. Good. Press down through the tops of the thighs. Nice. Draw down through the front of your rib cage. Widen, expand through the back of your ribs, through the back of your pelvis. Good. Feet are straight up and down. Pull through your hands. Pull through your feet. And then relax everything. Separate the feet. Let them drop wide. Arms alongside you. Palms up. Settle for Shavasana. Where all of the effort of trying to maintain who you think you should be, what you think you should be. Drop it, let it go, and just feel what you are. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. The body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. As you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart, palm to palm, or whatever mudra has been serving you well. So Ganesh, many of you know, I'm sure you know, is that he's an elephant. So the elephant gives us a whole lot of symbology, but where my mind is going with it is that the elephant has the power, the ability to trample a forest. It also has the gentleness and dexterity with its trunk to pick a flower, a blade of grass, without hurting it, without disturbing it. And so we are exactly the same, right? We can come at our obstacles like a, trampling stampede and try and force things to change, try and force things to happen. Or we can go to that place that is a little bit more aware and has the ability to touch the world with reverence, to be in the world in a way where you treat everything with that kind of reverence, yourself included. And so the Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha is a request that may I know the power that I am and also learn to use it with reverence so that my obstacles become my friends. My obstacles become truly my opportunities for enlightenment. I'm never separate from that. And that's the power of Ganesh, is that your whole life is giving you exactly what you need. So don't avoid it, don't reject it. And the more immovable it seems, the more it has the power to move something in you. So treat your obstacles with reverence. Those that seem to be your opposition, treat them with reverence. They're the key to your enlightenment, guaranteed. We'll close the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend until I see you again. If I don't see you, have a great holiday, however it looks for you. If someone, who's Susan's iPhone? Which Susan does that belong to? Or is that a whole nother Susan than the ones I'm looking at? No one knows. You have to unmute yourself to tell me.
Thank you.
Who is this Susan's iPhone? Bye, you guys.